FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Elmore deep, left side three, it's good! From 30 feet, John Elmore!
The Drive with Paul Swann.
Welcome into the Monday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann, and we are today at the Union Pub and Grill, where every Monday we are here for $2 call shots and, of course, $1.50 domestic bottles. I've got with me the former young Thundering Herd quarterback, Dave Walsh. How are you, sir?
All right, sir.
How's your
All
weekend?
right.
How was your weekend?
Very good.
Haven't talked to you since the last
Very
week.
good. Can't complain. If I did, nobody'd listen, as we always know.
That's not true, sir. That's not true. And then, hey, we got a special guest.
I know.
Guy that I've been talking to on Twitter forever. He's covered sports all over the United States. He's actually driven most of the United States, and he's a ECU guy. He's East Carolina guy. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against him.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Ron Clements with us on the program today, just in Huntington. I was like, what are you doing in Huntington? And, of course, because the RV that he lives in hasn't been to Huntington yet or West Virginia.
Yep, exactly. And am I on?
You are on.
You are on.
Yeah, we had yet to drive the RV through West Virginia, and we're on our way up to Cleveland for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game next week. And we're like, well, let's drive through West Virginia. We're actually in Nashville, so it's kind of a detour. We went up to Louisville for a week and then hung a right on I-64.
So now you're here in West Virginia, and I wasn't joking. He lives in an RV. You've got a website even to document it all called Home Run on Wheels. And
Correct.
What possessed you to start living in an RV?
My wife got a job that was 100% remote, and so then it was just like, hey, I could do this anywhere. I was working at Sporting News as an NFL reporter, and it's kind of frustrated with some things there. And so when she suggested the idea of traveling, I was all about it. And so, yeah, now we've been through 44 states with the RV, and last year we went to all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums.
That's fantastic. And the website is homerunonwheels.com. You can follow Ron there and see where he's been.
We'll be recording our latest podcast episode tonight.
Okay.
So it'll be up tomorrow morning.
Fantastic. So you can check that out. And have you been to a West Virginia Power game, or are you going to try to hit one of those eventually?
We're actually going to try to do that this weekend. The Power are home Thursday through Sunday. They're playing Kannapolis, which is kind of funny because when we lived in Charlotte, we saw the Kannapolis Intimidators play, and they were playing the Power. So now we'll do the reverse.
Get David Kahn on your podcast.
Yeah.
If you're recording anything, or do you do it just all live, or you record anything separate to play back? I don't know how to do it.
If I do interviews, they're almost always recorded.
Okay. David Kahn, who's the voice of the West Virginia Power, he's a fascinating kid. You should talk to him.
All right.
And, of course, since I know him, we'll get you hooked up for some free tickets.
Oh,
if you haven't got that already.
No, we have not purchased tickets yet.
We'll take care of that off the air. So
That's awesome.
I'll get you hooked up there. And if he doesn't give you free tickets, just remind him his Boston Bruins lost.
That's right.
And
I know.
That will completely sour his day.
Hey, can you play Gloria at the next break, please?
I think we'll try to. I don't know. You know what?
I used to live in St. Louis.
I do.
So
That's why I brought that up. By the way, Dave here, Boston guy. I don't know why.
I did apologize.
You should apologize.
I said, hey, I told him the best team won.
Darn right they
When you
did.
win 3 out of 4 on the other team's rink, and in basketball, like Toronto did 3 out of 4 on the other team's court, you deserve whatever hardware you're going to hold up.
Just enjoy it now, Ron, because the New York Rangers are coming.
2 years away. 2
years away.
Hey, the Blues fans have waited, 52 years for this?
Yeah, exactly. 1994. I'm good with that. I saw it happen. I was around for that.
That was a damn good team with Messier.
Yeah.
That was
Brian Leach and all those guys.
That was a really good team.
It's a fantastic team. And just remember, Capo Keiko, or however you say his name. I'm still learning. Second-round pick. Hey, I actually watched the entire first day of the NHL draft.
You were the guy.
I was the guy.
Outside of Canada.
It was actually better than it has been in years past.
Hey, the NBA draft is tonight, right? Or no, the NBA award show is tonight.
Yeah.
My boy Giannis is going to be MVP.
Then
right?
they start the rookie league games here pretty soon because they're already touting RJ and Zion playing each other in the very first rookie game.
I would completely tout that.
ESPN's going, hey, turn this on.
Turn
us on.
And, of course, if you want to watch all that action, you can tell them down here to the Union
And
Pub
watch
and
it.
Grill. Now, if it happens on a Monday, you get the special. If it doesn't happen on Monday, of course, you can partake of the kitchen. You've got the Southern Belle. You should try the Southern Belle before you go. Here's a description of it right here.
All right.
That's a signature. I mean, Herb's even got it somewhere on a carpet that this is the home of the Southern Belle.
Nice.
That's how big a deal that drink is. So you should try that. I'm sort of Herb's Stanley, the proprietor. I'm his ambassador on Mondays. As you can see, if you look around, you've got everything Marshall and then some around here.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Marshall stuff
There's
here.
a lot of Marshall things here. There's probably things here that the Marshall athletic director, Mike Hamrick, hasn't seen forever.
Did they film any the movie here?
I don't know if they did anything here in the Union. But I don't think they did.
did.
But if there's an artifact to be found or had from that movie, I'm sure Herb's got it squirreled away somewhere.
And when we were on our way here, my wife asked me if Matthew McConaughey was going to be in town. I was like, I don't think so, Beth.
No, he just hangs out on weekends.
He was pretty much here for the movie, and we haven't seen much of him since.
I was like, maybe Matthew Fox.
Matthew might. Yeah, he hangs out on weekends too.
Having a chance to be in that movie, I got to meet all the guys.
You were in the movie?
He was in the movie.
In the movie, I was Xavier.
You didn't tell me I was going to be sitting next to a movie star.
Well, I was.
You're still not.
I jumped ship, went to Xavier, was their assistant coach. But all the time the movie was on, we did the scenes here, we did down there. I met Matthew McConaughey one time in L.A. after the premiere. I shook his hand. He tapped me on the shoulder. I said, other than that, no, because he was pretty much under lock and key wherever he was. Everybody else I met. Davis Strathairn was awful. Was awesome, sorry. Walked by him one day on the set down in Atlanta. I'm going this way. Him and Kate Mara are coming this way. I got by and he goes, Dave, how you doing? Out of nowhere. And I just said, well, that's not bad. And I thought he was very good in that movie, too. It was fun. But I met Mr. McConaughey one time.
That's all you need.
I know.
That's all you need.
I do like that movie. And as an East Carolina grad, I feel like our universities are always going to be connected.
Right. I think, to be fair, when Marshall and East Carolina were playing each other, that was a game Marshall fans looked forward to because of the connection and just the fact that the two universities seem to get along rather well. I mean, they love the rivalry, or at least the Marshall side did. I don't know if a grad of ECU, if that was really a thing for ECU other than, hey, these are nice guys to play.
I love the Marshall rivalry, and I think ECU and Marshall are
they're going to be playing here pretty soon.
In a few years,
yeah,
right?
They're getting back together.
Yeah,
which I love that. And it's a shame Virginia Tech backed out of its rivalry with East Carolina, but whatever.
It happens.
It is what it is, right?
It does happen. Of course, my first thought when you were in town was like, okay, he's here today to cover the fact that Marshall's going to be invited to the AAC.
Well, that just is a pure coincidence.
Yeah, you shot that down quickly. I was sitting there going, wait a minute, Ron covers sports all over the globe.
Yeah.
That's got to be the reason.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, this is the RV.
Yes. We had never been to West Virginia before, and there really aren't very many RV parks near Charleston.
Right.
We were going to stay in Charleston because of the power.
Yeah.
Bigger city, and no offense to Huntington. But,
right.
And I did kind of want to venture a little further into West Virginia because it's like
this is just
like
across the border.
We're barely in West Virginia, like with 20 miles from Kentucky and 2 miles from Ohio.
You can throw a rock, you hit it.
So it's kind of funny. Last year when we hit Vermont, we were. I don't know if you know where Brattleboro, Vermont is.
Not offhand.
All right, so if you throw a rock south, you hit New Hampshire, or you hit Massachusetts. If you throw a rock east, you hit New Hampshire. So Brattleboro is right in that corner of Vermont with Massachusetts to the south and New Hampshire. But we spent one night in Vermont, and that's something we try to do in every state is so it's not, quote unquote cheating, and we just didn't drive through it. We wanted to spend at least one night in every state we drive through, and we're actually here for 9 nights because the RV park in Cleveland where we're going to stay couldn't get us in until July 2nd.
Okay.
So we're staying here to July 1st.
Where are you staying here? Where are you parked?
At the KOA in Milton.
Okay.
Or kind of between Milton and Barboursville.
Okay.
Yeah, you got a lot to do out there. You'll find you won't get bored.
Hey, they got a little lake you can swim in and fish in.
You got everything out there.
So.
You won't get bored as well. We're going to take our first break. We'll come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about the fact that everyone thinks Marshall's getting an invite to the AAC. Well, almost everybody. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we're here today at the Union Pub and Grill. We invite you to come down and join us. We're here every Monday. I'm Paul Swann. I've got Ron Clements joining us. I've got Dave Walsh, the former Young Thundering Herd quarterback. And we've got more when we continue on this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
That rejoin music is not Gloria, but you should see what we pay our producer, and you would understand. Welcome.
What's your producer's name?
His name's Gabriel.
Gabriel, you got to play Gloria the next break, man.
He doesn't know what you're talking about. He has no idea what you're
Laura
talking
Branigan,
about.
1982.
Play a little Laura Branigan. Of course, you are listening to The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. We are here every Monday at the Union Pub and Grill because right now it's all day, all night, $2 call shots. We've got $1.50 domestic bottles. And for those of you listening on the podcast, this isn't going over the air because on our terrestrial radio station, we have an EAS test going on right now.
Uh-oh.
But we also podcast this, so this very segment right now is not going on the air. So we're just talking to ourselves.
Interesting.
But the podcast people will hear it. So you'll hear what you missed.
Okay.
So if you want to make a proclamation, we can.
And after listening to this podcast, you can listen to the Home Run on Wheels podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Which is recorded inside an RV.
That's amazing. So we're just listening here to the radio because we monitor the radio. We got the EAS because Huntington is the rain capital of the world right now.
Oh, yes.
It's supposed to be hail tonight, right? Or maybe?
I don't know.
We wish. We wish it was that light.
I like the first rumor you have started. Marshall, AAC. I love it. I love it. Because, I mean, it's out there.
All right, for everyone who just missed it on the over-the-air feed, since we have the EAS test, that Ron just broke down the 55 reasons why Marshall will be invited to the AAC.
Yeah.
And if you missed that, you'll have to go back to the podcast because we didn't stop talking when the over-the-air feed had the EAS test. So
okay, my bad.
local radio, you've got to love it,
Yeah.
local radio. So let me reset this table here. We've got the former Young Thundering Herd quarterback, Dave Walsh, who is with us every Monday. Since his retirement, he has nothing to do other than hang out with me.
There we go.
And on game days during Thundering Herd football games. And then worldwide traveler, writer for hire.
Yes.
Yes, writer for hire, Ron Clements, joining us here on the program. He's got a fantastic website you need to go visit. It's Home Run on Wheels, and you can go to his website. It's real simple to find. You spelled it out easily, homerunonwheels.com. You've got a podcast. You're going to be in Charleston later this week for the West Virginia Power. I'm going to work on tickets during the break. We're going to take
That's
care
awesome.
of you. Oh, we'll make that happen.
Yes.
We'll
Paulie
make that
will
happen.
do it.
But you covered the NFL for a long time. You covered college football, and, of course, you're still connected to everything. So, outside of this venture, what are you working on other than just seeing the country and living the life?
Well, I do have a book coming out next month that chronicles our trip last year. And we had a mission with foster care around our trip last year. So we were able to get kids. I told Dave this during the break. We were able to get kids out to Major League Baseball games last year in Miami, Detroit, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Denver, and St. Louis. And the organization we partnered with is in North Carolina, so we got kids out to minor league games in Greensboro and Durham down there in the Tar Heel State. And probably the coolest thing that happened on our trip last year was when we were in Denver on July 11th, the Rockies beat the tar out of the Diamondbacks. The final score was 19-2. Rockies hit 5 home runs in that game. One of the home runs was hit in the 5th inning by German Marquez, a pitcher. And one of the foster children got that home run ball.
All right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And my wife and I were not in the section, though, when that home run was hit, because one thing we did was we wrote stadium reviews at each stadium. So
Right.
we were exploring. We were up in the upper deck in the 5th inning. I looked down. I said to my wife, I said, babe, I think that's our section.
Yeah.
And, yeah, sure enough, we get
That's our
back
section,
down
and
there.
I think he just caught a ball we could have caught.
Exactly. This kid was sitting right behind me, or right behind us where we would have been if we were in our
Right.
seats.
Now,
And-
you mentioned Denver,
Yeah.
Coors Field, right?
Yes.
Does the ball truly fly out of there? Fly ball's an
It
automatic
did that
home run.
night. I mean,
That's what you hear.
Yeah.
If you're a pitcher, you want your rotation to be missed when you go there.
It did that night. The Diamondbacks had a home run from Paul Goldschmidt in the 1st inning that game, and then the Rockies responded right away in the bottom of the 1st. Ian Desmond hit a 472-foot home run that night, which was sick. It hit the Todd Helton Burger Shack in the left field concourse. So that one definitely did fly out of there. But I've only been to one game there, and there were 21 runs scored and 6 home runs. So.
Right.
By the way, your tickets are assured. I just need to get all the details from you afterwards.
Okay,
I've already
awesome.
got them. Already got your tickets.
That is Paul Swann, ladies
The man.
and gentlemen, man
The
of the
man.
people.
Broadcaster of the year, by the way.
No.
Talk show.
No, talk show. West Virginia best talk show of the year.
Right.
Okay, we got to
That's
get it
you.
right. That, I guess. I mean, they gave
A lot
it
of
to
shows
me.
in West Virginia.
It's on my mantle right now, so I'm not giving it back.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It went up on the mantle, but he has not confirmed or denied the pay raise. He won't either confirm or deny.
Oh no, I
the pay raise.
can confirm there is no pay raise.
Okay.
I will not deny that.
Okay.
I'm not denying that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I put the boss on blast every day.
Yeah.
You should see my paycheck. You would understand
Yeah.
completely. So you've covered Conference USA, college football. You've seen it all come and go. When you found out that, okay, UMass is leaving and the doors – I'm sorry. When you found out UConn was leaving and the door is wide open, here it is. Everyone's going to scurry trying to fill that spot. You know, what was your first thought? Okay, which team fits the bill here? Because you've got a poll on your Twitter as well.
Yeah, and I tweeted that out, and you retweeted it.
Yes.
And the options were, what, Marshall, Southern Miss, Appalachian State, and then other. And I asked people to reply. I think App State with the North Carolina connection would be cool. That's a program kind of like Marshall, where they made the move from from FCS to FBS, and immediately had success in the Fun Belt, just like Marshall did in the MAC.
Right.
Now, could App State leave the Sun Belt and have the same kind of success in the American? Probably not. But this is a program that's won 11, 12 games the last couple of years. So Boone, North Carolina, though, is a very small market, and they probably don't have the money to compete in the American. And, Dave, I thought Marshall would be a good fit. I thought Southern Miss would be a good fit, but you shot those down.
Well, the biggest thing is we mentioned finances. When you look at budgets, South Florida, Central Florida, Tulane, all these people, and then, when they all left, Marshall was still here. And you
Right.
saw who came in, and I just, you would like it maybe. No disrespect about playing some of the schools in there, but hey, a road trip to South Florida, Central Florida, Memphis like they used to do would be kind of neat. Because when Marshall left the MAC and went to Conference USA, I said, okay, it's very simple. Would you want to be in Central Michigan or Central Florida in November? That was a no-brainer.
True.
That was a no-brainer.
But
sure.
Marshall's also joined a conference after the signature teams have left.
they all left.
It feels like you join the MAC, signature teams are leaving. You've joined Conference USA, signature teams are leaving. If you go to the American, Cincinnati wants out. Signature teams are leaving. They all threw themselves at the Big 12 recently, trying to all make the case, pick me, pick me. What if we turn into another situation where, okay, everything that makes American attractive, the television money, that all goes away again? Because that seems to be the trend in college football right now. All of these weaker conferences seem to get weaker and watered down because they're all finding bigger and better opportunities when a Power 5 and now a Power 6 comes to calling.
And this is definitely going to have a ripple effect because UConn, UConn leaving is going to open up, as you said, a door for someone else to fill that 12th spot in the American. And it's probably not going to be Marshall, Southern Miss, or Charlotte. I know the American would love to have that market, the Charlotte market, but UNC Charlotte's just not strong in any. They can't win in Conference USA. They're not going to win in the American. That would be a bad move for Charlotte. One thing someone mentioned to me on Twitter, and you mentioned to me before we went on, Dave, is Old Dominion. They have the money. The Norfolk market is a substantial market. That would be
a new
an
football
interesting
stadium
fit.
this year.
Yeah, and the Monarchs they're already playing some of those schools out of conference. They had when Shane Carden was at East Carolina and Tyler Heineke was at Old Dominion. Those two quarterbacks put up a bunch of numbers. It was an East Carolina win, but it was like a 55-49 win or something like that. It was a heck of a game. One school I want to mention, though, that if the American wants to keep the Northeast, Buffalo would be, I think, a good fit because that is a program that is their sports teams are on the rise, especially in football and basketball. And I think Buffalo would make a lot of sense, not just in terms of geography, but financially and competitively.
Do they look at university size as a factor? Because if you want to grab FAU, for example, you're getting attendance maybe not that good, but you're getting a university of 30,000 and maybe the bump up in conference.
And Lane Kiffin.
You're getting Lane Kiffin. I should just say Lane Kiffin and leave it at that. That's the resume.
Well, he was the talk of the league after he did his first year. Right now, his halo has been knocked off.
A little bit.
Charlotte knocked it off when they beat him their last game of the regular season to go 5-6, and they're not bowl eligible. So he's – but, you got him, Butch Davis. UAB guy's a very high-profile guy right now. North Texas is getting a lot of –
That's a school I had not thought of, North Texas.
So, I mean, telling Paul, I looked at Conference USA. The West this year is going to be hard to win.
North Texas.
The West will be hard to win this year.
Yeah.
Southern Miss, La Tech, UAB, unbelievable.
I'd throw
battle.
Western Kentucky into that mix as a possible American athletic candidate.
They've got a winning program. That's the thing about Western Kentucky. Even though they're having some budget issues right now, they've got a program that's actually competitive across the entire spectrum of Conference USA,
right.
Not just football and basketball. But you think the American maybe would take a member that's football only?
No.
Just
if they would, then UConn would stay as a football conference or as a football school,
right.
And that's not going to happen. And there are a lot of questions about the future of UConn's program. My former employer, Sporting News, Bill Bender, great college football reporter, wrote an article today that UConn might be better off just dropping its football program. They're not competitive. They're in debt, and so that could be an option. Maybe UConn is going to just axe their football program and move to the Big East and join all the other schools there that are non-football.
And that could be a viable option for them. Or 1AA, FCS, that's an option for them as well. But I never thought of UConn of a football school. That never comes to mind. I always think of them as a basketball school.
Totally.
And the Big East makes perfect sense for them.
Yeah, and this is definitely a basketball move for UConn. Don't color it anything that it isn't, because this is completely a basketball move for UConn. It has nothing to do with their baseball program or anything else. This is a basketball move. Just like Louisville leaving the American to join the ACC was a football move. This is a basketball move for UConn.
And there's still teams that are trying to make that pitch. I'm just kind of curious, are we going to see teams maybe push the way we saw the visible push to get into the Big 12? I know lower profile conference, but still a lot higher profile than what you currently see in the MAC, the Sun Belt Conference USA. You just don't have the profile there. The American, at least, they can flirt with calling themselves a Power 6, even though we know they're technically not there. I mean, they get as much of a shot at the Access Bowl as anybody else and maybe have some better footing for that, but they're not a Power 6.
Well, as a graduate of a school that is in that conference, I would disagree, because now I realize the schools are not the same as they were 10 years ago, but when UConn was in the Big East, when it was still the Big East, they won that conference, and they played in the Fiesta Bowl. UCF was in the Big East and went out to the Fiesta Bowl and beat a Robert Griffin-led Baylor team. So this is the American is, and I've been saying this for years, the American is the Big East, what it was. Granted, there are some new faces like East Carolina and Cincinnati, but this is what the Big East was. And the Big East, when the BCS was around, the Big East was part of that group of 6 that was in the Big East. I don't know why the American lost that luster when the BCS was dissolved and the college football playoff came into play. I have no idea. That has baffled me. UCF should have been in the playoff the last 2 years. Heck, Marshall a few years ago when they were 13-1 and their only loss was a 1-point overtime loss to Western Kentucky. And then they're ranked like 20th. Marshall should have been in the playoff. Western Michigan in 2016, 2017? Paul, you follow me on Twitter, so you know I have been beating the drum about the quote-unquote non-Power 5 schools getting access to this playoff. And I knew the playoff was going to be a disaster from the start, and it has been. Yeah. It is not inclusive at all whatsoever.
It's killed the bowl system.
It really has.
Not that I'm a fan of the bowl system, but it's killing it because
now you got guys sitting out.
Yeah.
You got guys sitting out. You have games that are played after the semifinals, which are inconsequential. If this was all leading up to these games, more interesting, sure. It's the same game being played. You can't tell me a date matters, but in a lot of people's mind, it does, because these games don't mean anything after the semifinals played. There's no meaning to it.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's why I've also been a proponent of holding the college football playoff after the bowl games. Let a team like UCF or Western Michigan play Wisconsin or Alabama or Auburn or LSU or whoever.
Yeah.
Let them play those teams in a bowl game, and then let's sort this thing out with the playoff. Hold the playoff after the bowl. The college football playoff never, ever should have been part of the bowl system. Hold it afterward, because you're going to make more bowl games relevant. You could up to 7, 8, 9, maybe even bowl games could impact the national championship picture. What bowl game did Marshall go to when they were 12-1 in Bahamas? Was that right?
Something.
And that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But in that year, the Bahamas Bowl could have possibly impacted the national championship picture.
Well, I remember talking about Conference USA one year, Houston, before they left,
Yeah,
was
Houston
in
was another
position
one.
to win it. All they had to do is win the championship game. They lost in the championship game. I forget who beat them. And when it was all said and
Oh, it
done.
was East Carolina, actually.
Okay. Okay. But when it was all said and done, we said, hey, that was a $12 million defeat. You get an Access Bowl and $1 million bowl
Yep.
bid.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you might get a shot, but, dude, it's going to be slim pickings, and you better make the most of it. Houston wins. They're going to play for a lot of money.
Well,
But they
and
didn't. East Carolina took them out of it. And
when Houston beat Florida State a couple of years ago, they had one loss that year,
Right.
and it was to UConn, coincidentally enough. We've been talking about UConn. But Greg Ward, their All-American quarterback, was hurt and did not play that game, and it was like a 2-point loss or something like that. So that was a championship caliber team, and they proved it against a really good Florida State team in the Peach Bowl that just totally dominated them. There's another team. If the playoff is held after the bowl games, Houston's probably playing for a national championship that season.
Right.
Because that was a championship caliber team.
Well, you know, Monday, we're getting ready to go.
Another EAS test here. Again, we're recording for the podcast now.
Okay.
I will repeat this again for those who are listening over the air, for you on the podcast. It was Rakeem Cato led that one-loss Herd team in 2014 against Northern Illinois in the Boca Raton Bowl.
Boca Raton, not Bahamas.
Yeah. They hadn't been to Bahamas yet, but I
Same
can't remember
payout.
top of my head
Same
which one.
payout.
Yeah, same payout. Same payout completely.
You talk about teams moving, schools moving. I've heard of rumblings. If the Big 12 were to annex anybody, Houston.
That would
Got
make a
the
lot
market.
of sense.
Dana Holgerson's there. Their first game's Oklahoma, but, I mean, if they want to get to an even number. But like you say, if anybody ever moves, so many things change you got to do some serious scrambling.
Big time ripple effect.
Yes, big time.
And and who knows? Maybe UConn leaving and the American grabbing somebody, whoever that might be, would force the Big 12 to be like, all right, hey, this is a good opportunity for us to add a couple teams because the Americans going to add somebody, and that's going to create a conference shuffle anyway. So maybe the Big 10 views that, the Big 12 views that as a good, as the right time to get back to 12 teams. Instead
They
of being
considered
the
it
Big
for a
12
while,
with
but then
10.
they backed off. But
You didn't have to stop. I was just letting you know we're going to take a break after you finish your thought.
okay, I'm learning.
You froze on me, Dave.
But the league shuffles of that nature could be crazy. But Houston's been mentioned. Dana Holgerson, then go back to the Big 12. He could come back to Morgantown.
We need to hit a break quick.
Gotcha.
So fast saying it, I even stumbled it. We need to hit a break. We'll come back and we will continue here at the Union Pub and Grill on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Buckle up. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive. ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We're here today at the Union Pub and Grill. Paul Swann with you for another edition of The Drive. Of course, you can always come down and join us. 1125 4th Avenue in Huntington. We're here every Monday. $1.50 bottles, $2 call shots. That is the Monday special. And you can get that only here at the Union Pub and Grill. Dave Walsh, my usual co-host for Mondays with us, the former Young Thundering Herd quarterback. We like to emphasize young sometimes. Former young.
It's kind of weird to go former
young.
and young. It just, okay. Whatever. I'll buy it.
And then joining us on the program as well, he's in Huntington. You might know him on Twitter, Ron Clements. HomeRunOnWheels.com is the website. You're also still blogging, and you're writing a book. You've covered sports for a long time. Sporting News was your previous home. Now you're living the life we all want to live. I mean, what's next? Basketball, professional. Well, you've seen enough professional football. You're going to try basketball arenas next, or RV it across the country for hockey.
You know what my awesome wife did?
What?
So she works with someone. They all work remotely, but she works with someone who is a Green Bay Packers season ticket holder. And I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
My wife is from Illinois, so she's a Bears fan.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
But, yeah, and with baseball, we got Brewers, Cardinals.
Uh-oh.
But she got tickets through this guy who she works with. I don't even think she's met him in person. But he was like, hey, I can't go. Do you want Bears-Packers tickets at Lambeau Field in December? And my wife was all like, yeah. So
nice.
On December 15th, we're actually going to fly to – we'll be in Arizona for winter.
Okay.
But we are going to fly up to Wisconsin and see the Bears and Packers play at Lambeau Field, which would be awesome.
You will make the exception and get on an airplane and get there for that one.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And dress warmly.
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally. But my sister lives in near Appleton, so we'll probably stay at her house.
Okay.
And, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
You know, you're mentioning you're working your way to Cleveland for the All-Star game. What about the Browns? The buzz about the Browns right now. You're going to be up in Cleveland. They've almost given them the titles and this and that, and I'm going, they got to earn it first. But, I mean, I told Paul, the last 2 trips up to visit family, when you go to stores, sporting goods stores and look around, Cleveland Cavaliers, they'll give it to you. Indians, you got to pay a normal fee. Brown stuff right now is under lock and key. You got to go get somebody to go get the Baker Mayfield's jersey out. They're not letting it be. I mean, something's going on up there.
That has a potential to be a special team, especially adding Beckham and to go. They've got perhaps the best group of skill position players in the NFL right now. I mean, and
I don't like to hear that.
So
I'm just telling you.
No.
I don't like to hear that.
So Cleveland could be a special team. Now, I will say this with the caveat that the season they were 0-16, I predicted them to go 6-10. So I will just add that little caveat that what I say usually means bupkis.
Yeah.
So.
Far as I'm concerned, the Cleveland Browns can stay in obscurity.
Hey, the NFL is better when Cleveland is good.
Says who?
Or at least competitive.
Says who?
It's a marquee franchise, Paul.
I mean, they give them the draft in 2 years. They get to host the draft in 2 years, I believe.
I'm sorry. I'm not seeing that with my my Bengals shades here on. I'm not seeing that.
He's on the other side of the state.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I'm not seeing that. I don't accept that. I mean, I'm sure it's true, but I don't accept that. I'm just going to own the fact that I am in my own blissful little world that Andy Dalton is going to save. No, what am I talking about? Let's keep it real.
Well, they do have a new leader.
They do have a new leader,
coach-wise. We'll
but
see what happens.
they're still the Cincinnati Bengals. They're still the Cincinnati Bengals. You know this. You've covered the NFL.
It's kind of funny with the Bengals, as bad as they've been the last 20 years. People forget that, like in the 80s,
they were awesome.
This was a great team. They went to 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they ran into the Montana-led Niners both times.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it was Ken Anderson one time and Boomer Esiason another for the Super Bowl. So, Ken Anderson, by the way, a dude who should be in the Hall of Fame probably.
Super nice guy. I met him one time at when the Bengals were training in Georgetown. Met him one time, and it was just he was a wonderful human being to meet. And never got to meet Boomer. I've met Andy Dalton, so unfortunately you see where my priorities are.
I remember talking to Andy Dalton on a conference call when the Bengals were getting ready to play the Rams and when they were still in St. Louis. And I asked him on the conference call what he felt about – I think at the time – I don't think TCU had joined the Big 12 yet, or maybe they just had. But like Boise State was in the discussion at the time, and it was like I remember it was when the Big East talk was going around that Boise State might join the Big East, and TCU I think was in that discussion too, and he was like, no, it doesn't make any sense at all geographically.
Yeah.
That's my only interaction with Andy Dalton was on a conference call. So.
Yeah, I met him a couple times on affiliate day, and of course he found every way to not come near that tent. I mean, look, he's big time. He's Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
the Red Rifle.
He's got no time for us completely. We got to take our final break. We're going to do so and come back, and we'll continue on here at the Union Pub and Grill. We remind you, if you're not here right now, you're missing $2 call shots and $1.50 domestic bottles. You get that every Monday here at the Union Pub and Grill. More on the way. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann, the 2019 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Best Talk Show on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
I'm sorry, that's still not Gloria. I apologize, Ron. We have not played Gloria for you today.
Oh, well. Not everybody can be a fan of the St. Louis Blues.
I was for a couple weeks. By the way, the gentleman you're meeting, as I mentioned, David Kahn from the West Virginia Power. We had this back and forth about the Blues and his Boston Bruins, so don't tell him.
Yeah.
I mean, I just secured you your tickets. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. So your limited time in West Virginia, what have you seen so far other than the RV park, or have you yet really to explore?
We had brunch at Black Sheep yesterday. That was good. And then we went to the Peddler. And we took our dog to both places.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
He's our marketing manager. So,
Does he get paid well?
In treats.
Yes.
and pets. Yeah, pets on the head.
Joining us today here at the Union Pub and Grill, of course, that just made me laugh.
You can fast forward that part.
That made me laugh.
When you make these trips, how do you scout them? You've left. You're coming into here's 64. Here's this, and you're going like, okay. Do you scout?
You mean
things
like
out?
the RV parks?
When you're
or
getting here and
just
stuff,
area?
I mean, you can anchor in, okay, or you just pick spots and go to. You've already parked in Milton, but now you got to find a way to kill time. When you're you're going like, okay, you've checked it out here, and we get to Charleston, we go here, we get to Parkersburg, we'll go to the radio station. Do you scout it out, or you just freewheel it?
Not really. I wish we would have done a little better scouting in Louisville as far as things to do, because we did not know that while we were there, Hamilton was playing at the Performing Arts Center there. That would have been nice to see Hamilton, but we were not able to get tickets. But my wife actually does more of that than I do. She's a project manager, so it kind of comes more naturally to her. I'm more of this, hey, let's see what we can do today. I'm more of the spontaneous type person. But
do you have the rule that I do whenever I go out of town? I want to go eat somewhere that we don't have here.
Oh, we never eat. We never eat local.
No disrespect Applebee's and places, but I want to go somewhere that we don't have. If I'm in Cleveland, or we go to Louisville, something's different.
Yeah. When we were in Cleveland last year, we sought out restaurants. We actually ate dinner one night at a restaurant in the Tremont neighborhood up there. But yeah, and that's why we went to Black Sheep for brunch.
Yeah.
We had a couple people. Do you know where Uncle Bill's is in Barbersville?
Yeah.
That was our first meal in this area. Was Uncle Bill's. So because it was right there at the freeway exit.
Yeah.
We were hungry, so we went to the RV park. We checked in. Didn't want to cook anything, so we had to go grocery shopping anyway because we didn't have much food.
Yeah.
So we turn around. We're like, oh my! It's chain restaurant after chain restaurant. Hey, this Uncle Bill's Pub. Let's go in here. And so that was our first meal in the area.
Will that be on the blog and the podcast as well? The experience.
No, I think you just got an exclusive right there, Paul.
Yes.
Okay. That makes a fascinating travel journal because you're not hitting the chains. You're going local.
No, never. Yeah, outside of the occasional Starbucks, maybe for a coffee.
We got you covered here for that. You're good.
Right. So, but yeah, we want to experience the cities that we visit, and it's like with our stadium reviews that we wrote for the website. There's also like a category there for the city, what we thought of the city, and I don't think we disliked any one city we were in, because we can always find something to do when you're in a major metro area. So.
It's a fun area that you're about to explore here because Huntington has sometimes a problem with itself that a lot of people maybe don't think it's better than what it is. So it's just fascinating to me to find out. I'm going to be listening to the podcast and just devouring what you have to say because it's fascinating to me that someone would come out of area and just talk about all the fun things that are happening. And, of course, if you are listening on the podcast, we're not on the air again because we have an EAS. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Third one in an hour.
That's the third
What
one.
is going on?
That's one thing you can podcast and write about, the fact that Huntington has been hit with, in the tri-state area, so much rain.
Yeah.
It's raining right now.
It's raining right now. We are the Seattle of the East Coast almost, just about.
I mean, we're already heading for a record year, and we're not even July yet, and they're already hitting numbers that we haven't seen in a long time.
So this is, this just makes it fun, though. So we just hang out here, and, of course, this is all being podcast. And you can, of course, go to Ron's podcast, his website, and I just got a text from somebody to let me know it's raining. So that's just to let you know.
Just in case.
Someone is not listening to the program. Hey, be careful, it's raining. HomeRunOnWheels.com is the website.
Yes, sir. And you can find the podcast on, it used to be iTunes, but Apple Podcasts, it's there, Google Play. Pretty much wherever you can find podcasts, I think you can find the Home Run on Wheels podcast.
Where else can people find you? Twitter, Facebook? Where are you at?
We do. Home Run on Wheels has a Facebook account and Instagram. I've got a decent following on Twitter, so it's just Ron_Clements there. I did not create a Home Run on Wheels Twitter account. And the DirecTV went out here, so with the storm.
But, of course, the $1.50 bottles did not go out,
no.
and the $2 call shots. And, of course, this has been fun because half the show you can hear exclusively on the podcast on Apple Podcast, also in Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, wherever you get your podcast. And the other part of the show, of course, is the parts that did not get blocked out today because the local over-the-air version. That's what we push the podcast sometimes, just because of the rain. We got rained out. That's usually what happens. Hey, a couple weeks ago, we couldn't even get on the air because internet.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I had to go old school. I had to go speakerphone on the iPhone here until they got me a backup.
We had a setup over there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I had former Huntington Blizzard
Hockey player who was very good.
Jim Birmingham. He was inducted recently into the East Coast Hockey League Hall of Fame, and he was just visiting. He lives in Montreal, just visiting. He was sort of doing what you are doing, but not as well planned and not without an RV.
You know what I did last year? One time I was interviewing someone, and so I use a Tascam DR40 to record everything.
Yeah.
And it's got settings for internal mic and external mic.
Right?
Well, I had the internal mic turned on because I was in the clubhouse and I was interviewing some players, and then I was interviewing a reporter actually for the podcast. And I forgot to change the settings, so I was like, we're 5 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, shoot, and I didn't shoot. Hey, we have to start over because this has not been recording anything.
Yes.
Was it a better interview the second time?
I don't think so because the first time it was a little more genuine, but
Right.
oh well.
I've had those problems before, too.
Yeah.
And I've used that model. It's a really nice model.
Yeah, that was Derek Gould of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, where he was really, really nice, too. He was all like, oh, sure, no problem.
Can we
we can do it again.
And,
We can
and
do it
I
again.
felt like an idiot.
We can do it again. Yeah, but you're a newspaper guy. You're not a audio guy, right? Well, you are now, but
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that my degree is actually in broadcast journalism, so I should have known better.
you should have known better.
Yeah.
But you're East Carolina guy. You're not a Marshall. You're not a Marshall guy. That's the difference. You're not a Marshall guy. Yeah, much superior broadcast program.
This guy just applied martial law.
I'm just saying, it's much superior. I have to say that. The professor listens to this day.
talking about East Carolina days, Marshall played and everything. There were some nice non-chain places deep in the Greenville area. Because when you travel, that's one of the things you quickly find. Where do we go to? And there was a lot of places you could go to that were not the Applebee's, but we had a good meal. We had good meals.
I hope
The
you got
locals.
I hope you had some barbecue while you were down there.
Oh, one of the best pregame meals ever. East Carolina Stadium is just, it's almost to the point like,
I don't know.
to heck with the game. The barbecue and the ribs is like, to heck with the game.
I don't know
sit back
who
here
Tom.
and eat.
I don't know who Tom McClellan puts in charge of getting food for the press box, but yeah, he does a really
He
good
does.
job.
Yes, he does.
Well, if you're going to try to admit someone into the American by barbecue alone, Southern Miss wins. Southern Miss wins.
Yeah.
Letha's.
Southern, hey, as an East Carolina guy, that's another big rivalry with Southern Miss. I would love to see the Golden Eagles in there.
Right, and there's an excuse for you. Hey, you know what? We should go, honey. We should go check out that game when they're in Hattiesburg.
They're in the league, and we can
You
leave
could get the
early.
RV down there. Probably the
Yeah,
only
you
way
know
you
what?
get in there.
We have yet to drive the RV through Louisiana. That's one of the states we're missing, so that's not that far away.
No.
We can park it in
And
New
if you
Orleans.
get Southern Miss joins up and say, hey, Biloxi right down the street, got a little casino action. One of the perks for membership.
Well, it's funny. You can park an RV at casinos for free, but we've got a big foster care organization logo on the side of our RV, so I don't think parking it at a casino is the best
that's not
thing
gonna
for
work.
optics.
We are out of time. Don't forget you can come down to the Union Pub and Grill, and you can take advantage of $1.50 domestic bottles and $2 call shot. For my co-host and partner in crime on Mondays, Mr. Dave Walsh, Ron Clements joining us. Man, thank you so much for coming in. It's
I enjoyed it.
pleasure
Safe trip,
to
safe
finally
travels.
get you in here.
Thank you.
And in a few years from now, when Marshall opens up the baseball park, you got to get back here.
Deal.
I'll get you into that one too. Get your credential or something. I mean,
Awesome.
Man's got connections.
I got some connections. I mean, and let me know how the West Virginia power trip goes, because I'm expecting super seats for you. For Ron and for Dave and Gabriel back in the studio, I'm Paul Swann. This has been The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.